Hey, welcome back to the channel, man. So Gucci man knows exactly what's going on between Yo Gotti and Glorilla, Moneybagg Yo, and everything like that because he don't want to have to come out and actually had to expose everything about how Young Dolph credit was being taken from the Glorilla situation. Like they try to say that Moneybagg Yo explored and found her first and discovered her, but it was really Young Dolph because where would that picture come from the gym? Like, how would that even happen if Young Dolph didn't meet her first? Because at that time, when she was a fan of Young Dolph and everybody came to Young Dolph's autograph signing and they was trying to do the meet and greet, even back then, Yo Gotti was trying to whisper into their ears and tell them to figure out what Dolph was doing. Like he sent them in to try to see what kind of offers he was putting on the table so that he had an inside person figuring out the offers and everything. Like he wanted to know. That's how bad this whole situation got to. And the fact that Gucci man, he tried to get Big 30 to come to 1017, but Yo Gotti and Moneybagg Yo stopped that because Yo Gotti and Moneybagg Yo were trying to make it to where they kept Big 30 on their side because they know how Pooh Shiesty and Big 30 was a tandem, and that whatever Pooh Shiesty blows up and does is going to make the same thing happen to Big 30, except the fact that they knew Pooh Shiesty was going to get locked up because they were in Memphis and Gucci man was in Atlanta at the time. And it wasn't until Angela Simmons texted Yo Gotti and told him to go backstage to find Moneybagg Yo's chain laying right there. That's the only reason that they went back up to Yo Gotti and knocked on his door at his estate. When his dad answered and he said that Big Juke was in the basement and that he was going to come up with the icebox case so they could return Moneybagg Yo's chain, it was only because he got dropped from CMG and fully committed to Endless and Bread Gang and everything. All of the people turned in their CMG chains to protect the brand because Yo Gotti doesn't want to have any problems with whatever Black Youngster did at Makita's and whatever he did with the 100 shots. Once that happened, it opened up a can of worms to make everybody give back their CMG chains. There was at least 10 other rappers. And when Young Dolph brother Grove Hero pulled up on Lil Migo at the airport, when he smacked him, his chain went flying off because he had one of the old CMG chains, and even Lil Papa had to change his name and turn back his CMG chain, and that's why he's been so quiet because he knows that in Memphis is not the ideal situation to where they can't make it out as quickly because of the whole situation of the RICO is hanging over their heads to the fact that everybody knows that something happened to Young Dolph, and condolences to Young Dolph because we all want to get the justice for Young Dolph. And if you agree, put the dolphin emoji in the comments. Go ahead and say justice for Dolph and everything like that. Because at the end of the day, when that Bentley took off down the street and they got the tire marks, when the unit went in and they actually swabbed the ground, and they've pinpointed that the tire marks was the same ones that belonged to the Bentley, and they already seen that Bentley in Black Youngster's music video with 42 Doug. That's why when Black Youngster went to make that diss track, he had to move out of town because he knew that people was going to pull up to his grandma's house over in Memphis if he was still staying there. And as of now, a lot of people that's still in Memphis is ducking and hiding from that's in CMG because they know they can't come outside if they surrounded by the people in the Castalia. Big Moochie Grape is still riding around. Like the fact that Young Dolph gave him a car, that's all he has the car and he had the chain. And when they tried him and they tried to get Big Moochie Grape to turn on Young Dolph, and he tried to make sure that they knew that he wasn't going to switch any sides like that. And so the same thing goes with Snoop Bands and all them and Grove Hero and Key Glock. Key Glock is going to make it to when any of them dudes come outside, they're not allowed to diss Dolph or play any CMG songs while they're riding through the Castalia market because they protecting a heavy due to the Young Dolph mural being there. When they destroyed the other Young Dolph mural, that made everybody get mad because they know that has some type of thing to do with Black Youngster, and he has his hands tied in CMG. And it's like the whole situation from the fact that Mia J saw it as a diss and took it as a way that it was like they was trying to come after her. And so that's why she went into the witness protection program. And we never seen Marcus Thornton ever since that day because of what Maurice Hill has said. If Maurice Hill had not if they didn't talk to him and they spoke with the laundromat manager and the Family Dollar manager instead, then they would have got a clear story. Because one thing about it is that how you gonna have the main witness be the person who owns the shop. And so everything that they're going to say is going to be towards the benefit of the cookie shop. And that's why till this day, they still haven't gotten a full story, a straight story that actually consistently matches up from what they said from the jump and from what the records show when they made that call to MPD. And whoever clicked that button, they still haven't gotten consistent footage to show that they locked the doors at this exact time, because they don't know if Maurice Hill was inside or outside. They think that he might have went through the back door because the locking mechanism of the front door was already clicked. By the time that people started to realize what was going on, Marcus Thornton was in the front banging on the door trying to get back in, because he seen Straight Drop and them had the perfect opportunity to do a U-turn and circle back around Makita's, just in case the people in the Bentley saw Young Dolph moving. They could have walkie-talkied and told them to spin back around and dump the rest of the rounds in the Draco. One thing you got to understand about is that Big 30's cousin, Big Newski, was affected by this situation due to the fact that he didn't want to have to slide with them. Straight Drop and them tried to pressure him and offered the money that Big Jook and Govan put up. And the fact that Big Jook, Govan gave up Big Jook, that's how they got him first. They gave each other up, and they all really made it to where Black Youngster's driver, Shondale, was going to be the next one that gets caught up in the situation, because right after they spoke to Govan and Big Jook, that's when they gave up Black Youngster's driver. And so now it's up to him to decide whether they're going to discover where Black Youngster's been hiding out now. And so basically all the people, all the CMG members that's in Memphis, all the CMG members that's in Dallas, they on red alert. They can't go and talk to Black Youngster, because the people who's been watching and staking him out is going to catch them on the photos together, and that's just going to add another person into the RICO. And so at this point, when Jay-Z told Yo Gotti the only way that he's going to buy CMG is if everybody that has the active case that's tied in with the RICO, that's tied in with the Young Dolph, or had any type of thing to do with Govan and Big Jook, cannot be on the roster when they transfer over all the rights to CMG over to Jay-Z. Because when they buy and sell all of these things for 30 million, hundreds of millions of dollars, $150 million is a lot of the projections, and they have to do it at 30 mil at a time. That's why every other week you hear about how another percentage of CMG was sold off to another Jay-Z offshore company for 30 million, because they have to keep it under the 50 million threshold before it sets off any red alarms or anything like that, before the big sharks come in and try to make them split it apart, because they understand how a lot of the things from the artists that Young Dolph actually put on, like Moneybagg Yo and Glorilla, they reaping the benefits from that. And that was really supposed to go to PRE. One thing is for sure is that how Finesse 2 Times was affected by how Moneybagg Yo took his flow, and a lot of the songs that match up lyrically word for word with something that Finesse 2 Times had wrote. It's no way that Finesse 2 Times what he wrote in his notebook would end up in a Moneybagg Yo song just because his backpack went missing. When they picked that up at the Lost and Found, they knew that they were sitting on a gem, because they know that Finesse 2 Times was in the group with Moneybagg Yo and Black Youngster way before the whole Yo Gotti ever actually walked in and signed them. And so the thing is that they all connected. They try to act like they never knew who Black Youngster was, and that he actually was sliding in the streets way before the Dolph situation. And the only reason that a lot of people think that they signed him was for him to just join in as a person that could be on the front line and actually could go and do some of the things, and that they just promised him that they was going to back him up with the bread if they had to go get the Straight Drop lawyer to go and finish everything off. And so at the end of the day, it's a whole lot going on, and basically the speculation and the way that everything is coming forward is the fact that the information got leaked through Govan about everything that had happened. That's how they even got the third interview from Makita's, because this a year and a half later, and they have to go back and see if the stories match up. And everybody knows that the Makita's Raven story changed up from that first interview they gave in the parking lot, where they had the big TV cameras up, and that she said everything happened on the inside of the store and that Maurice was already there. But then they came out and said the complete opposite thing. And so now it's actually time for them to go up and make the official statement on the black and white piece of paper, because they have to submit this into the Young Dolph case, because the trial is coming soon and they're seeking to get the justice for Dolph sooner than later. And a lot of people is going to be there to watch it all go down, and they're going to see the paintings of what happens when CMG goes up to testify on everything, they're gonna get the owners of all of that to come up, and that's when they get Yo Gotti and his brother is gonna have to come in, and they might end up pointing at each other because sometimes that's the way that things work out, especially when you look at the fact that what Gunna did to get out of his entire wrap up sheet and deal that he took, and that he pinned it all on Young Thug. And so when everybody sees that this is the same exact thing that's happening with the CMG Rico and the YSL, is that they're going to end up using Black Youngster's lyrics about how he dissed Young Dolph against the whole thing. They're going to pull up the pictures of him going to the tombstone and asking why he went there. And that might have caused a lot of people to slide back, because you got to remember that Marie's cousin and brother got hit up at the mall right after, and the dude on Bradley Street. It was a lot of people that was dropping in Memphis right after that. And it was all because of basically Dolph getting set up and Black Youngster doing the diss right after, and then them finding the actual getaway car where exactly it was where Straight Drop did the music video before, and it actually cracked the whole code and opened up a whole nother can of worms to find out that everybody involved was on the CMG side, and that this all led back to the original Yo Gotti Young Dolph beef that's been going around for the last 15 years, since 2005. And so one way or another is going to end up repeating itself, because at this point, since Black Youngster didn't stop dissing, it made everybody distance themselves from CMG. That's why Moneybagg Yo was the first person to move out of Memphis right after the Young Dolph thing happened. And Key Glock did the same thing. We both seen when they both had the semi-trucks with the cars filled up on there. You seen the Lamborghinis, the Bentley truck, you seen the Ferraris and the Aston Martins, the Rolls Royce, everything loaded up on the truck, the 18-wheeler, and they were shipping it and driving it down to Atlanta. And they even avoided South Memphis because they know that is Young Dolph's hood, and that if they catch Moneybagg Yo driving through there and getting out of town and trying to get away from everything that had just happened, that they was going to catch up with them and basically make it to where they barricade him and trap him in and block him into Memphis. And he had to actually respond for the consequences behind the Young Dolph. But luckily he got around all of that. And so they're going to have to just get the justice for Young Dolph the old fashioned way, because a lot of people wanted them to get the justice in the streets for Young Dolph. But that's all that's going to do is cause another revolving door situation of more people getting hit up, and we can't bring peace to the community. And so that's the thing about is bringing the peace to the community that everybody has to get on board for. And at the end of the day, is justice for Young Dolph, and sending the condolences up to everybody and RIP Dolph, man. Because Young Dolph and Gucci Man was actually best friends. Like, they even go to the football games together, and they would sit in the middle of the row with the regular fans, because down at heart, they know that they just regular guys from the South or that live in the South and grew up there. And so they didn't have to go and sit front row like all the rappers do with their chains on and try to get the attention of the cameras and the cheerleaders and all the celebrities and NBA players and NFL players. They went there because they know that they fans, and they just wanted to have a day to hang out, because they don't want to have to be in the limelight. They want to go and be able to do regular things and this and that without having to worry about Yo Gotti's guys running around and chasing after him and looking for him and everything. Man, and when, you know, Big Scarr, he was really being mentored by Young Dolph too, because the person that would keep an eye on Big Scarr when Gucci Man wasn't around was Young Dolph, because Big Scarr was in Young Dolph's own city, and he had a PRE chain. So he was co-signed by both Yo Gotti and Young Dolph. And RIP to Big Scarr, RIP to Young Dolph. Go ahead and put the Big Scarr comment in the comment section. Put the dolphin emoji in the comment section. Let me know if you're a fan of both of them. But basically, man, Yo Gotti and them, they really look at it like they didn't see the fact that Young Dolph and Gucci Man was way more clicked up than a lot of people actually thought, because they had the plans to take over with the 1017 PRE mix. Because once Pooh Shiesty got out and they signed Offset and Quavo, it's over with, because they already knew that Gucci Man and Young Dolph could have bought QC together if they wanted to. But because of everything that had happened, Gucci Man is basically left by himself, to where his business partner was Young Dolph. They was making a lot of moves to actually get a lot of the rappers signed that ended up having no choice but to go to CMG because there was no other option. QC was on the decline, and they're about to sell it, and it's like the thing is Lil Baby is managed by QC. He's not actually signed to him, and so that's why when they sold QC, somehow Lil Baby was able to get out that deal, and so at the end of the day, they know that the next people, the next stars were coming out of Memphis, and Young Dolph and Gucci Mane were working very, very hard because they was trying to take the talent from Memphis and actually put them on to how to do business the right way so that they could continue to put food on the table for their families, man, because Young Dolph and Gucci Mane were paying a lot of bills. They was paying a lot of people's light bills and getting groceries and getting people things that they needed to take care of them when they was between paychecks, because a lot of people weren't doing that. A lot of rappers aren't coming back to their hoods no more and giving back. And so that's the thing, is that Young Dolph was doing that a lot. That's what he was known for. And that's why a lot of people was like thinking of Dolph as the king of Memphis, and even about how him and Gucci Mane had everything straightened out, and they didn't have to get into no type of beef or no type of like things and have petty issues go on that they hold against each other like a grudge, because that's what happened to Yo Gotti, and it happened because he was in Dolph City, like they was in the same city and everything like that, and so they felt like that they had to go against each other, when in reality, if Yo Gotti just got in line and worked together with them, it could have really been Gucci Mane, Yo Gotti, and Young Dolph. But you already know that the issues that Yo Gotti had with Gucci Mane from the jump, and so that's why he was envious and mad about how Dolph and Gucci was clicked up and connected and was, getting artists out of Memphis, when Yo Gotti has beef with both Young Dolph and Gucci Mane at the same time. So he didn't like the people from CMG. He let them know that he didn't like the fact that they was clicked up together, and that, he wanted to make sure to get them out the way, because that's what a lot of people do when they want the power and they want the money and the fame, and everything goes to your head. People feel like they have to get people out their way, or that they gotta beef with them or something like that, just so that they could benefit from it. And at the end of the day, the fans really knew, all the Young Dolph supporters really know that Yo Gotti was doing a lot of just, it was petty. It was a lot of petty things that could have really been talked through. But once the things got real, when they actually came after Dolph, and Black Youngster had the whole 100 shots and everything happened in California the way that it did, it was no going back from that. Because how could you get back to a cool level from somebody that tried to take you out, or the people did, or anything that transpired from that event, that a lot of people felt like Dolph was targeted. And so at the end of the day, they looked at Govan back at that time, and they bringing up Govan now. So it's not good that they had the track record of everything, because they know of all the other times the beef from Yo Gotti and Young Dolph is not private, it's public. Everybody knows about this, and they could go and find every single time that they said something to each other in all them interviews and all them text messages. Because when the iPhone text got released about what the conversation between what Yo Gotti and Young Dolph was last talking to each other about, then that will go actually open a lot of people's eyes to everything, and they'll really realize why the things happened the way that they did so soon and so quick, and how it was a plot with multiple people, over 10 people involved in the demise of a young man. And we just want to send our condolences to Young Dolph, because this should have never happened, man. A lot of people know that, a rapper going back into their hood, that anything could happen at any time. And so they got to just understand that this was something that was basically could have been avoided, because due to the fact that the people who gave up the location and the people who played the roles and did what they did to slide, they had a choice. They should have not did that, because they thinking about all the opportunities and the money and the power, the loyalty from whoever it is that told them to do that. But at the end of the day, when they sitting back in the cold room and they don't get to go out and they lock down 23-1, then they realize that those people wasn't on their side anyways. They was just tricked them to get them to do what they did, to basically take out somebody or to, help in the downfall of a whole nother person. And that's why people got to realize that in all actual reality, that everything was basically set up through Govan and Big Jook, because when they got talked to by the feds and everybody talked to them, the scenario is that everything started happening right after they got talking to. And so that's why a lot of people really think that one of the possibilities is that they told. And so we'll find out a lot more as the details continue to come up, because it's basically breaking down now to where they're doing a full sweep of Memphis and they really getting down to the bottom of everything that happened to young Dolph. And so as y'all want to continue to find out and get the justice for Dolph, encouraged to go ahead and hit the like button. And if you're new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can stay updated on everything that's going on with the situation.